Hello, thank you for joining me. Let's do some regression. Now, first I need data. You can look up data on the interweb, or you can just make up data. Now, first things first, you're going to need an X, and that's not it. You're going to need an X, and you're going to need a Y. So, I just made one up. Let's try to predict ACT score based on GPA. ACT scores tend to range between 12 and 36. If you're getting below a 12, I don't really think that we're even going to take the ACT, so let's just say equals rand between, this handy-dandy random generator that Excel has, between 12 and 36. If you ever forget what you did on your formula, you can always check up here. And I'm going to drag this down so that I have 30 things of data. Now, if I want 30 things, I need to go to cell 36, and I can always go, hey, what is my sample size of this data? Let's just double check this is going to be 30, and it is not. So I have to take it down a notch, go back one. Alright, we can delete that. This is jumping around because it's random data, so every time you kind of like refresh the Excel page, it's going to recalculate this. That's okay, we'll fix that later. Now, GPA, high school GPAs, can have decimal places. So I need to first have this rand, which gives me a decimal point or float number in between 0 and 1. That's not all though. We also need the actual whole number. So let's do another rand between. And let's say between 1 and 4, because if we did 5, then it would give me rand plus 5, so I could potentially have a GPA of 5.2, and that's not right. So let's just stop at 4. Now this guy got a 34 and a 2.33. Good for him. Keep in mind this is random data, so it's not really going to be predictive. I can always double-click that little black arrow, and it'll figure out, as long as you have something here, where to stop, or something here. Now that I have my data, I want to make it look pretty. So let's give this, I like the borders on the outside, and I also like, if you ever want to auto highlight your data, you can hold down Shift and it'll go over one by one. But if you want it to figure out where to stop, you can hit Control and it'll figure that out for you. And I want these guys to have all borders. Now this is going to forget that it has the borders on the outside, so I have to do this again. That's okay. The reason why this is happening right now, you're probably like, what's going on? I'm going to give this, first of all, a right border. The reason why this is happening is because I want to illustrate what these things even are. Now, in basic terms, this whole column is the thing we are predicting. This whole column is the thing doing the predicting. That's kind of confusing. You can also call this the response variable, or the dependent variable, or just y. Now, x is your explanatory variable, and it's independent. Now, recall on a xy axis, you could have a, let's go like this. On an xy axis, you could have, this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis. This was usually time, was it not, back in high school? Now, we are all slaves of time. Time is independent. Time does not care about us. So x is the independent variable because this is our x-axis, is it not? That is always how I remembered what those things were. And my delete button isn't working, so I'm going to click this and it's going to get rid of that. Now these things are still bouncing around, so I'm going to go Shift, go over, Control, go down, and I'm going to copy. And now I'm going to paste. But I want to paste special. I don't want to get so excited. I could do paste values and number formatting. Another way to do this is to go paste special, and then it gives you all these choices, and then it doesn't start freaking out at you. And you can say, okay, what do I want? I want numbers, blah, blah, blah. Now, if I had some fancy font or format or something like that going on, I would want to do values in number formats. I can just do values if I wanted, but I tend to do this just because it's almost never the case where I don't want it to keep giving me the same format. So I'm going to hit OK, and notice how this changed. Before this said rand between 12 and 36, and now it just says 36. And that's what you want. Now these are just have the actual things, and notice that even though the GPA only shows these numbers, it actually goes out. That's okay. This is an exercise, so we're not too concerned about that. We still have these little dotted lines dancing around, so I'm going to press escape, and that's going to go away. And that's how we generate our random data. Thank you for watching, and in my next video, I'm going to explain how to actually do data analysis and regression.